Hello and welcome to another episode of Low Tech Health. Let ourselves translate expert knowledge. Today's Let's Talk Tickers on Taco Tuesdays, and I'm back out of the West, finished with my assignment, and I'm so happy. You can hear the jingle bells jingling, you can see the little Christmas lights twinkling.
Jingle bells rock.
And it's just nice to be away from all these silly emergencies. Lack of preparation on your part, an emergency it does not create on my part. This fucking hospital, I swear, if they could just, one thing, just learn how to prep a room. That's all. That's the only thing I would pass on. Because as far as recommending it to another traveler, I would not, ever. Not just because it's in an area that the hospitals cannot be put on diversion due to being too full. They have to continue to take patients in the whole hospital. They must continue to admit and overload their emergency department. And it's a bad area. Very illiterate, very ignored, and not good to see how the government is taking care, or not, really not taking care of these people. They are largely minority, so they're getting hit harder by this COVID, more severe, and there's very little understanding about health, period, as far as just brushing your teeth, much less a vitamin D supplementation, which isn't something that's even brought up here in the States. It's crazy. It becomes an emergency because of a lack of vitamin D. And it's not. It's just a lack of preparation, which is where we are with this week's subject of emergency. What is an emergency? I think I've defined it before, but I believe it is something along the lines of where a crisis of if there were no intervention, a death requiring resuscitation would occur, which is cardiac arrest, respiratory arrest. It is someone turning blue, having a seizure, stopping breathing. That is, that's an emergency. That's something that you need to intervene. Someone having what is obvious in a 12-lead EKG. It's a picture of your heart triangulating its electrical impulse, causing a motor response. You could tell where it's maybe obstructed and raises this little bar of the repolarization, which is a slowing of repolarization and a calcification in a certain area. Oh, and yeah, don't mind my soul patch. I had the mustache too as we were crossing the country because I wanted to make sure people knew I was one of those good old boys. You see? Anyways, you see this peak, this little elevation on the ST segment in this 12 lead, and you have to continue on the path of curing or treating this emergency, which we know what causes this emergency. It is atherosclerosis. It is a bad diet. It is high LDLs and low HDLs. It is a sick and sedentary, non-plastic lifestyle. But that's not an emergency, and that's not something we're going to treat. That's not something we're going to take part in responding to. So it comes down to your family. When is it an emergency in your family to tell them that their lack of preparation is not an emergency? When does it? When is it beyond your family's responsibility? When is it society's fault? When it's enough people dying of something that is preventable. In this case, COVID. surpassed heart disease as a killer. And sure, maybe some numbers are fudged, but from what I've seen, anytime America is getting these sick, dilapidated boomers out of nursing homes whom the family hasn't seen in many months, and it's hard to have not seen them and to not know that there's nothing more to be done when your oxygen is dropping because you're not breathing well. You just know there's no impulse to breathe. The spirit begins to leave. So becomes an emergency, this respiratory distress, as someone tries to take their last breath. They get ventilated, intubated by a physician who's excited to have his medical student intubate someone who's not COVID, finally. Yay! It's a dead person. And when you tube dead people, emergencies tend to happen because they're not well. Calcium's low. They need blood. Calcium continues to drop. You can't get calcium in because they don't have good access and good veins, so you put a central line in that becomes another source of infection that is a sepsis. Love you. Good night. And with that, I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. The sepsis gets treated. More fluid. We continue to pump this person to an animal as they struggle to fight this tube system of life support, like pretend life. And they devolve more into a little vegetable. They no longer fight. No longer want to get the tubes out. And now I'm going to go eat. So, in the end of
Trump
tonight,
2020, motherfuckers.
oh fuck. Tweet away, motherfuckers. Love you guys.